Hey, welcome back, my podcast friends. And today, what we want to do in this episode is we want to kind of continue on with the episode that we did in episode 50, where we were talking about your goals. And for those of you who don't know, this is Simple Healthy Choices for Weight
Mhm.
Loss. And I am one of the co hosts of this. My name is Dr. Steve Hewlett, and this is my beautiful wife, Theresa. Say hi,
Hello.
Teresa.
Hello.
But anyway, so we started last or back in episode 50 on talking about goals. And so just a real quick recap. Basically, what we're trying to get people to do is get out of their comfort zone. And remember, a way to think about your comfort zone is this is where you feel very safe, you feel secure, you know all your surroundings. But when you stay in this comfort zone too long, you start to tend to lose interest in life. You don't really have a lot of goals. You don't have anything that you're assessing whether you're doing well or not. And so a lot of people get stagnant, and a lot of times they actually get bitter. So what we want people to do is get out of their comfort zone and actually try, make some goals for themselves that will help with their anything, with their health, or with their finance, or with their relationships, whatever. But since this is simple healthy choices for weight loss, we're going to kind of use examples of weight loss. And the thing to remember is a lot of people, when they look at goals, when they look at what other people are doing when they achieve goals, they look immediately at the top of a ladder. Think of your goals as a ladder, and the very, very bottom rung, that's your comfort zone. That's where you feel great. And most people look up this ladder and they look up at people who are doing, successful things or things that other people would like to be doing. And all they look at is the very bottom rung in this ladder and the very, very top rung in the ladder. They don't even think about all the steps in between. And so they start making all these lofty goals to be able to jump from the bottom rung of the ladder all the way up to the top. And when they do, what they end up doing is they make so many hard goals, they end up not doing anything, and they end up convincing themselves maybe they're just meant to be down the comfort zone and not to make anything better with their lives. We're here to say that is the exact wrong way to think. That is not true. Everybody needs to have goals. That's what gives life fun. It gives it meaning. It gives it purpose. That's what makes life fun. So what we want you to do is learn how to look at the comfort zone and take this big lofty goal and break them into a bunch of very, very tiny, very, very easily manageable goals. And as long as you're on the right ladder, as long as you're going towards those goals, you accomplish these daily tasks, eventually you will get up to the top of the ladder. But don't even worry about it until you start coming up with your small goals that start off at the beginning.
And one of the things I know that people will do is like what will happen to something will happen to them to make them get out of the comfort zone. Something happens to you, get a diagnosis, or a family member gets a diagnosis, and then you realize that you have to get out of the comfort zone. And we don't want you to have to wait until a crisis in your life happens before you want to get out of the comfort zone. So you just want to get out of it now,
and
just
and that's
slowly.
really what a lot of people do. They don't pay attention to their health. They don't pay attention to their nutrition, what they're eating, try to keep themselves healthy, until all of a sudden they get up a little bit more in their age, 50s, 60s, now some people in their 40s, and they have a heart attack. So either you have a heart attack, or a close friend or close member has a heart attack, and then finally you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want this happening to me. But again, people do that, but then they start making all these lofty goals, and that isn't enough to carry them through to try to get healthy again. So that's and another thing, other things that get people to
Mhm.
where they want to change. Maybe it's not that you saw something really major happen to
Mhm.
somebody or to yourself. Maybe it's just that
You just want to listen to a podcast. So
uh,
maybe you need to like kind of motivate yourself, although motivation doesn't keep you going, but sometimes you need something to get you started. So you can listen to a podcast like ours. You can attend an event. You can go somewhere, maybe for a weekend or a week with these events where they can definitely be very motivating. I mean, you could even go to a social media account and follow those accounts that's what they're doing is they are encouraging people to set goals or, especially with health and with your weight loss. And you could follow us as well. So, so I mean, those are some ways also to get started.
but the biggest thing is just start. You do not have to have your whole goal planned out. You don't have to look up that top rung and know exactly what every single one of those steps up that ladder is. In fact, don't do that. That's going to be overwhelming. That's going to give you another excuse why you don't want to achieve that goal. All you need to know is that you are on the right ladder. You know where your comfort zone is, and you know what your goal is, whether it's to lose 50 pounds, whether it's to get off medications, whether it's to reverse your fatty liver disease, because that can easily be reversed with proper nutrition, not with medication. So don't try to think that you have to have the entire plan all planned out. All you need to know is that you're on the right ladder, and then all you need to decide is what is your very, very next step. That's all you do. Then you'll get to that step and you make another one. What you want to do is you want to stack the steps in your favor so it's very easy. And one of the things, there are certain questions you have to ask yourself when you're starting one of these goals. And one of them is, what do I win? What do I win if I make this goal? What do I win when I get to the top of this ladder? And make this personal, make this real to you. Nobody else is going to see it. Don't go out and try to, say all these reasons why you want to lose weight, because I want to become healthier and I care about my heart and my blood pressure and my kidneys and my liver and everything else. Chances are that's not what it is. For some of us it is, but for some it's not. Maybe it's just that you want to look great in a bathing suit. Maybe you've got a lot of friends that like to go floating or camping or swimming, and you've always wanted to go, but you feel bad in a bathing suit. Maybe it doesn't matter if that's what it is. Mine personally was being with my wife. I did not want to be walking on a beach with my wife and everybody look at my wife and say, oh my gosh, what is somebody like that doing with a fat pig like this? And I don't want to offend anybody, but that's exactly what I felt, because I felt like I was obese and I didn't deserve to be with my wife. That was actually one of my main reasons why I wanted to get in shape. The health is great, but I just wanted to be, seen with my wife and not feel bad about it. So make these real to you.
Right. And because a lot of times, so let's say you want to be healthy for your grandchildren. We'll see. So a lot of these tips that we're given is from the book, All It Takes Is a Goal, from John Acuff. And one of the things he was saying was, he wants to be healthy for his grandkids. He goes, but when you are tired, if you've decided you want to get up early in the morning, he goes, trust me, the thought of being healthy for grandkids that I don't even have yet is not getting me out of bed. And his was to look good, at the pool, the neighborhood pool. He wanted to not feel bad about himself. So it goes back to I guess it's a selfish, goal, but it doesn't matter. It's whatever's going to take you. Yeah,
that's a great selfish goals is what you actually want, because that's what's going to motivate you. And so the other thing is how do you win? The way you win this, the way you climb this ladder is you make every step so small and so easy that it's very easy. Don't make something that's going to be so hard for you to accomplish. So you want your win is going to be big, because if you keep making these small goals, you will climb that ladder. And that's what you want. You want the work to be very small, but the goals to be very, very big. And just like we said last time when we were talking about Mr. Schoaf and Jim Rohn, and when they were talking about becoming a millionaire. And remember, this whole thing about goals, it's not necessarily what goal you achieve, because this is totally personal up to you, but it's what you become as you learn to do this. Because you find out that if there's a certain goal that you want and you start making tiny, tiny steps towards that goal, you're going to learn how to make tiny steps, how to make goals, how to climb this ladder. You become a different person. You have better self-esteem. You feel like, oh man, maybe I can do more goals. But don't worry about all that right now. Just keep everything super, super simple. And that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to figure out what a goal is that's going to convince yourself that it's much better to go start climbing that ladder for that goal than it is to sit down in your comfort zone. That's where you're going to have to convince yourself in your mind. So make sure that this goal is really something that means something to you. It doesn't matter who else this means something to. And basically, when you start talking about achieving goals, making goals and achieve them, the successful people are the ones who always stack the deck in their favor. They know how to make little bitty goals. Please, the worst thing you can do is overestimate how much you can accomplish in a short period of time. Don't do that. If anything, way underestimate it.
Right. So let's say you want to cut back you're trying to lose weight. So you're like, oh, I'm going to stop drinking sugar sweetened beverages. I'm going to stop eating carbohydrate, or at least processed, ultra processed foods. I'm going to stop. I'm going to
Eating off
drink more water. I'm going to, what else? What are all the things?
sleep more, drink more
Right.
water,
Yeah.
start an exercise program, blah, 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 blah. And people come up with all these things, and it wears them out just thinking about all the goals they want to achieve, and therefore they don't achieve any.
Right. So then you feel bad about yourself. You're like, well, I guess I'm just not supposed to lose weight. I guess I'm not supposed to get in shape because you can't do all of those things, when really all you need to do is maybe today you're not drinking any sugar sweetened beverages. And that's all you have to do today.
Yeah.
You know, right.
Or even this week, you know,
right. For a whole week. Right.
There is no time constraint on any of this. As long as you're going for a goal, take whatever amount of time you want. And what you're going to find out is once you start making these little bitty goals and you start achieving them, you're going to start feeling better and better and better. Your self-esteem is going to go up. You're going to start seeing people around you that are noticing that your self-esteem is going up, and you have more energy, and they're going to want to be like you. And then you're going to get a new group of people to be hanging around. And it just starts snowballing in a good way. In a good way, you start making one little goal, and then you make another and another. And pretty soon you're going to find out that it's easier than you thought. But still, you don't want to go and say, okay, now I'm going to make all these other goals. It's like, just keep the same thing, just these small little goals. And you make your rules for these. Don't use anybody else's rules. Don't use our rules. The whole thing is that you're trying to become better, and you know what the ultimate goal is that you want. And just every day you're doing something towards that. That's what you want. You really want to set the bar very, very low on these goals. This is all for you. So don't worry what anybody else is doing, as long as you're going towards the top of that ladder. The other thing is, you want to make sure that you don't write these really rigid rules that, right off the bat is like, good, that's going to be hard to do. So I'm going to stay here in my stuck self down here at the bottom of the ladder.
Comfort zone.
Yeah. Back to the comfort zone, which is really just your stuck self. So set the bar low, figure out what little bitty step you can accomplish today. And then once you get those accomplished, then come up with another little bitty goal. But the other thing is, you can't just do this by going to a talk, going to a conference, doing something that will
Get you
what's
started.
it called? Yeah, it'll
Kinda
get you
start you.
Yeah, it'll get you started, but that is not a long-term fuel. You can't just become really dissatisfied with yourself. Like, okay, I'm bigger than I want to be, and by gosh, I'm going to lose weight, and I can't believe I've done this to myself this whole life. And you start bad-mouthing yourself and become dissatisfied. So it's like, I'm going to do this. Well, that's all well and good until life starts happening, and until you start making all these lofty goals that actually are not helping you in any way. They're actually hurting you and keeping you in the comfort zone. Because eventually what's going to happen, if you make too many lofty goals, say you did have a friend who died of a heart attack, and by gosh, you don't want that happening to yourself. So you make all these goals because you don't want that. But eventually the weeks, the months, the years may go by, and that pain of losing a friend really wasn't a pain anymore. And so now you forget about that pain that it made you feel. And then now it just starts making you feel bitter, because now you felt the pain and you didn't do anything with your goals, and now you feel bad about yourself. And that is exact opposite of what you want to do. You want to feel good about yourself all along the way, making tiny changes, tiny goals that you can actually achieve. And the only way to do this is have a vision for your future. Know what your goal is, know where you want to be. And all you have to do is figure out your very first step. So when you're doing what you want to use, so now we know that just being dissatisfied with your health, or seeing something bad happen to somebody else, or diagnosis you have, now we know that's only short-term fuel. So what's your long-term fuel? What's really going to keep you going? And that's what you want to do. And the first thing, if you make these goals correct, if you make little bitty tiny goals, but you're checking them all the time and you're keeping track of this, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, you're going to start seeing the changes in yourself. And just like we said, once you see the changes in yourself and you start feeling good about yourself, you're going to find that you will impact others. And this is where your real motivation is going to come. Probably, maybe not. It's all up to you. But without a doubt, with me, that's what did it for me. It wasn't just back when Theresa and I lost all of our weight and we started becoming healthy and realized how what we eat has everything to do with our health and staying away from medications, which actually cause more damage. And so eating nutritionally healthy, that's what made us stay with ours. And when we did that, we saw other people coming up and asking us, what'd you do? How'd you do this? And they started doing it. And we started seeing that they were getting healthier. And that's what motivated us to do everything that we're doing right now. That's what motivated me to retire early. That's what motivated me to write the book, to start this podcast. And soon we're going to be putting together, we're going to have a program ready that we can actually help people go through this program. But that's what really makes a difference for us, is impacting others. So, and the other thing is, when you do impact these others, you're going to find that these people are starting to community. You're going to have a new community. Other people are going to be around you, and all of you will help keep each other on track. You'll be looking at each other, questioning each other. In fact, tell each other what your own little goals are so you can keep each other on track to meet the goals that you want. And it's so much better when everybody meets their goals together.
Right.
Or at least climbs the ladder together. You don't have to meet them at the same time. But and these people, this community could be anybody. It could be somebody in your family or others in your family. It could be clients that you have if you do a service. It could be other peers, your friends, your inner circle. It might even be somebody that you get to know over social media that they're all wanting to do the same thing. But it's a lot easier to do things if you have someone else to do it with.
Right. It's super hard if you're isolated. And then you're just going to feel bad about yourself, because with social media, I mean, you can feel like you're not isolated, but yet you are, because you are possibly home alone, even though you're just on social media with, maybe that's where your community is. I really think you should also find your community where you can actually get together and talk, in person.
Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah. And the other thing is, you'll know when you're on the right track, when you're actually making a difference where others can see it. Because one of the first things that's going to come out is those people who love to criticize. They're everywhere. Any post you put on there, you're going to find somebody who dislikes it, thinks it's crazy. That is a good thing, because that means that you have now made someone else feel uncomfortable about themselves. And usually when people feel uncomfortable about themselves, they want to badmouth everybody else so they can bring them down to their level. So don't be upset when people start criticizing you. They may say something, you may start
losing weight.
Yeah, you start losing weight, and they may say something like, "Oh, must be nice to have time to plan your own meals and be able to put your food together, or it must be nice to have time that you can go walking or work out or something like that. Oh, that'd be nice." And that's the kind of stuff that you want to hear people say, because you know that you're making a change in yours and other people are able to watch it. Do not fall into their criticism. Do not start feeling bad about yourself. Feel good about yourself. And these other people start criticizing about how it must be easy for you to do something. They don't realize that that's exactly what it is. It is easy because you're only looking at the very next step, the very next day. You're not looking at the top of the ladder. And maybe you can actually teach them something also, if there's somebody that you want to be around. But
No, I was just going on to the next point.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So that is one thing. So we keep saying that, stressing, I think that's one really good thing that was in the book, was these tiny steps that we don't think amount to anything. And so it's like, even though your goal is that you want to lose 50 pounds, maybe by 8-9 months away or 6 months away, it's summertime, you need to really look at those tiny actions that Steve keeps talking about. So you're going to start off with just not drinking the sugar sweetened beverages. And then you're going to get to where you're very comfortable with that. And you don't even have to think about it. Well, then you want to stop the ultra processed food. And so you just want to do these tiny little doses. Although you want to lose 50 pounds, you're going to step on the scale that first week and you will have not lost 50 pounds. So you have to remind yourself every day what it is that you're doing.
You may have gained. You may step on the scale and gain 2-3 pounds. Who cares? Who cares? Something happened, whatever happened. Your weight changes all the time anyway, just because of fluid status, sodium status, everything else. Your weight changes all the time. Do not let a negative scale, a heavy scale, knock you off your ladder. Just keep climbing little by little. And it's not this, don't look at your goals like my goal is to lose 50 pounds. No. You want to break this down into easy, measurable goals. Your goal would be more like, I will drink X amount of water today, or I will eat X amount of animal protein today, or I will walk X distance today, or for a certain amount of time today. Every day, that's all you think about. You don't think, oh, gotta lose this 50 pounds, gotta lose this 50. It's like, no, just do the steps that you know are going to lead you into losing your weight, which is staying away from ultra processed carbs, staying away from man-made food. These things are killing all of us. They're giving us all kinds of diseases. You know that. So just do little steps to slowly get yourself away from eating man-made food and go back to God-made food that actually nourishes your body and doesn't put poisons in it like the man-made food does. So remember, you don't make a lofty goal of what your big goal is, and that's all you look at. You make little bitty daily choices, daily goals that you can just meet those goals. And once that starts getting, say you want to start off with sugar sweetened beverages, stop all sugar sweetened beverages, then that's your goal. Do that for a week, do it for 2 weeks if you want to, whatever's like, oh, okay, you're right. I don't need sugar sweetened beverages. Now I've learned, I've got me a water bottle. I know how many bottles of water I need to drink every day. I've got one that I like to carry around with me every day. I've always had it with me. And after a couple of weeks, like, there, okay, I got this down. I love the taste of water. I don't want to do the sugar sweetened beverages. And now you add another goal. Okay, well now that you have that one, now what's another rung that you can do? It's like, oh, I'm going to look at how much animal protein I'm taking in every day. And then you'll calculate that. And each day you try to meet the amount of animal protein that you need. But just think of little bitty steps that you can definitely accomplish. And the best way to do this is use a scorecard. Keep track of everything you do. Say you want to start walking. Okay. You know, you don't move very much. You know, you sit in front and, Netflix a lot or or you work all the time.
You're sitting at a desk.
So just say, okay, I'm going to start by walking. You can either talk about how far you walk, or you can talk about how much time you walk. Some people may not be used to walking at all. And if they get out and they walk straight for a whole 2 minutes, that's great. That's perfectly great. Write that down. I walked 2 minutes today. Have that on a scorecard. Then the next day, you may say, I think I'm going to walk 2.5 minutes, whatever. This is you. This is your goals. You enjoy it. You track them the way you want to, but you really need to track them, because you're going to find that as you start accomplishing your goal, you kind of forget how far you've come. And so when you look back at when you start tracking it at where you started, and then you see how far you've come, and it doesn't matter how long it took you to do this. If you are accomplishing something every single day, you're going to be amazed that you're probably going to reach your goal a lot quicker, because you're not overwhelming yourself. You're making goals that you know you can achieve every single day. You don't keep looking up at the top of the ladder thinking, oh, I'm going to be there someday, unless that motivates you. But most people, that stresses them out and makes them want to stop their goals. Don't do that. Once you know you're on the correct ladder, you're not on, somebody else's ladder. Once you're on your ladder, figure out the ladder and then just work on the very, very next step. And you've got to do this by keeping a scorecard. That's going to be the best way to keep you on track.
Right. And so you can obviously do that anyway, get a journal or make your own scorecard. I know, Steve, when you work out, I don't keep track of my workouts, which I should. I guess I should make that a goal. But so Steve does this regular. When he works out, he goes down or grabs his notebook and he marks what he did. He keeps track of how much weight he lifts and all that. But then he also knows the date when he worked out last, when he did that muscle group. So he keeps track of all of that. And that's very motivating.
And it really does help me stay on track. Right. Because, as much as I say, oh yeah, I work out 3 to 4 times every single week. And honestly, in all honesty, there's some weeks I don't work out at all. There may be 3 weeks, 4 weeks to go through because we're just so busy. I don't work out at all. But looking back at my little sheet, that helps me. It's like, holy moly, This time flew. I had no idea. It's been 4 weeks since I've worked out. And that fuels me. That gets me going back. And I've already got I already knew how much I lifted last time. I already know I'm going to have to back those weights off because I just went 4 weeks without working out. And I don't want to make it, very hard on me again. But it doesn't matter. All we're saying is make this personal to you. Know what ladder you want. And all you have to do is figure out your very next rung. That's all you need to do. And when you're measuring with your scorecard, there's 3 kind of basic things that you can measure. You can measure time. How long did it take you to do something? How long did you walk today? Or whatever. So time is one thing that you can measure. Actions, if you just have to check a box, I worked out today, yes or no. I slept, 7 to 8 hours, 7 to 9 hours today. Check, maybe even a little check marks. So make this work for you. And the other one is results. Maybe you write down like we were talking about the amount of weight that I lifted and how much I want to lift the next day or the next time that I lift that muscle group, and so I can look that down. And I can say, yes, I did it. And now I'm going to increase again. You may want to say the distance you walk instead of the time that you walk. Maybe you walk for a mile one day and then you walk for a mile and a half the next week or whatever. So, or the amount of water you drink. So the 3 main things that you can measure is time, actions, and results. Like I said, so time, how long did it take you? Actions, yes or no. Did you do something? Results, how far did you actually go? How much did you lift? But the main thing also is you may set up a great set of goals and this is going to work out. You've already figured out your timing and everything. And you go along this for a year or whatever. And then all of a sudden things change. You get another job. You have a child. You have a grandchild. You have, other things that start coming in that's taking up all your time. And you're still trying to do your same goals. Like, oh no, now I don't have time. I used to have time, but things change. Change your scorecard. It doesn't matter. Just change it. It's like your life has changed. So your goals, not your ultimate goal, but the rungs of your ladder will change. The amount of time it takes you to get it may change, but that's perfectly fine. Change your scorecard. Do not give up on your goals because the ultimate thing is why are you on that ladder? Why do you want to get at the top and make that very, very personal? Pick your big dreams, pick your top rung and just turn those into little bitty daily goals to each one of your rungs. That's what we want you to do. Right. Don't get overwhelmed.
And one of the things also that was in the book was, and I know Steve and I do this when we have had our groups together. And I always talk about, or we both do, but our why. Why are you doing this? The why is so important. And it is. But what he brought up was when he talks to people about their goals, he asks them when. When are you going to work these into your day? Which is because, it goes back to the micro goals. It's like, well, if you're going to work out an hour every day, you're also going to go stretch. You're going to also, I don't even know. I can't think of, but you add all these things. It's like, but when are you going to do all those things? So it does go back to those micro because you can't change all of that immediately. You have to, it's like, well, I can do it. I can work it in little pockets of time, maybe during the day, or I am going to get up 15 minutes earlier because I want to do a 15-minute walk.
And really, when you talk about when, I mean, that's huge. That puts, when you talk about what, you can just sit there and ramble any lofty goal that you want. Oh, I'd like to do this. I want to lose 150 pounds by the end of the year. I want to do this. But it's words. It's just words. When you ask yourself, when are you going to start this? Now it puts a pressure on. It's like, when can I? And in all honesty, I really hope that when you say when, it's now. And you're not saying, I'm going to lose 150 pounds now. You're going to say, I'm going to figure out my very next rung is. I know where I am. I know where I want to go. What is keeping me from starting right now? And remember, chunk this stuff down. You want these to be so easy. People look at you like, really? That was all you wanted to do is stop drinking sugar sweetened beverages for a whole week, And again, it's not for a whole week, it's for your life, but this is the start of it. You want people to think, well, that should be an easy goal for you to do. And that's exactly what you want, because if you don't make an easy goal, you're not going to reach your ultimate destination, because you're going to burn out, you're going to stress yourself out, and you're going to quit. And that's what we don't want. So ask yourself, not only where are you now and where do you want to go, but ask yourself, when am I going to start this? Anything else?
No, that's it.
So anyway, we've talked your ear off again, and I hope this helps. We've been getting some pretty good feedback on some of these things of people who actually, a lot of people don't really think about their goals. They're just so used to just going through every day. And I hope that this really, and not just on your health, but on any goals that you want. Obviously we're focused on the health, but just you're going to do every goal this exact same way. Pick your ladder. What goal are you wanting for? What's on that top rung? And where are you now? And now, what's the very next rung? And
I think that's it.
So that's it for now. So once again, thank you guys so much for listening, and have a great week. And remember, make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life.